All right, who is ready to start J11? So J11 is all about adding and subtracting polynomials. So I'm just going to do a couple of examples and then let you try a couple. Because most people in this class coming in, this is somewhat of a review and not something that takes a long time to go over. So let's go ahead and look. When you're adding polynomials, all you do is combine like terms. Okay, when you're subtracting them, you want to make sure that you distribute the subtraction sign to every term within the polynomial that's being subtracted before you start combining like terms. Okay, so let's look at some. On this one, we have 6x squared y cubed minus 9xy. And notice there's nothing being done outside this. This is just, these parentheses are designating that this is one polynomial and we're subtracting another polynomial. So since nothing's being done out front of these parentheses, we can just drop them on this polynomial. So we have 6x squared y cubed minus 9xy. But the one that we are subtracting, this subtraction is to be applied to this entire polynomial. So we have to distribute that to both terms. Okay, so you can think of this as distributing a -1. You can think of it as just doing the opposite. Either way, what it does is it changes the signs of the terms within that polynomial. So this term is now going to be a -5x squared y cubed, and the second term is going to be a positive 4xy. Okay, and then once we have it all written out with no more parentheses, then all we do is combine like terms. And remember, like terms are terms that have the same variables raised to the same powers. So here, 6x squared y cubed and -5x squared y cubed are like terms. So when I combine those, that leaves me with 1x squared y cubed. And then I combine my other terms. So -9xy and positive 4xy. When I combine those, it gives me -5xy. Okay, and then we're done. Now, on an exam or a test, I would be fine with this, but in my math lab, they don't like us to leave a coefficient of 1. It's just kind of generally, we don't write a coefficient of 1. We also don't write exponents if the exponent happens to be a 1. So they're going to say that this isn't completely simplified. So make sure if you're entering this on the computer that you just write it as x squared y cubed minus 5xy and don't include that 1. Okay. Again, on an exam or anything that I am grading, I will not take off if you leave that 1 there. Okay. All right, let's look at one more. This is the same idea. We're adding two polynomials and then subtracting a third. When we add polynomials together, remember that does not change anything about the polynomial. So we can actually just drop these first two sets of parentheses. So this is -5x cubed plus 3x squared minus x plus all the terms from the next one, 12x cubed minus 7x squared plus 3. And then for the third polynomial, we can't just drop the parentheses. We have to first distribute the negative to all three terms, right? So that's going to change all their signs. So this becomes a -x squared, a positive x, and a -9. And then we can go ahead and combine like terms. So we look at our cube terms first because that's our highest power of x. And we always want to write our answers from the highest power down to the lowest power, okay? So -5 and 12 leaves me with 7x cubed. Then we look for our x squareds. So we have a 3x squared and a -7x squared and a -x squared. So we need to combine all of those. So 3 minus 7 is -4, and another -1 is going to give me a -5x squared. Then if we look at our x's, we have a -x and a positive x, right? And those are actually opposites. So those just combine to 0. So we won't have an x term. And then we look at our constant terms. So we have a +3 and a -9. So when we combine those, that leaves us with -6. Okay. This isn't a terribly hard concept, but where people mess up and get mistakes in their homework is they're like, oh, I know how to do this, and they just work it really, really fast, and then they make mistakes. So I encourage you to write it all out, not try to do it in your head, right? Even if you need to put little lines and squiggles under them to make sure you're combining like terms, do so that you make yourself successful on this homework. Okay, so there are 2 practice problems for you to try down at the bottom of the page. So go ahead and pause the video, give those a whirl, and when you're ready to check yourself, go ahead and play it and we'll go over them. All right, so when we go over these on number 1, all we had to do was change the signs of the second polynomial. So we get a negative 5x, a positive 8x, a positive x cubed, and a negative 4. Okay, you should have 2x squared terms, our 3 and our negative 5, which combine to negative 2, right? And then our x terms, we had 2 of them, negative 2x and positive 8x, which combine to 6x. And then our x cubed terms actually canceled out, right? So those just combined to 0, so we don't have to write any x cubed terms. And then we had 2 constant terms. We had 2 and negative 4, which combined to negative 2. So that's number 1. For number 2, we left the first 2 polynomials exactly as they are. All I did was rewrite them without parentheses. And then on the third polynomial, I distributed the negative. So that's going to make it a positive 3x, a negative y, a positive 2z, and a positive 4. And then all we do is combine like terms. Okay, so if you didn't get the answers that I got, I encourage you to pause the video and make sure that you have all your terms written correctly and that you combine correctly. Okay, that is the end of J11. And so you should be able to now complete that assignment. Hopefully it'll be an easy one for you. If you have any questions, please let me know.